There's also an interesting thing happening in the summer that I can't probably say anything
Okay.
else about yet.
I know that we're kind of in this age of the reboot and the revivals, but in kids' TV, I feel like we are missing shows that we had 10 years ago when the show was on. So for Jack and Kira, I'm wondering, for you stepping back into this, did you have any hesitations at first, or were you like, we see that there's a need for something like what we did, let's come back and bring it back?
An interesting question. I mean, I think that there's always considerations to be made when you're making a career move that could feel like going backwards, but it really didn't feel like going backwards for either of us. Getting to work as executive producers makes it a whole other kind of a project. And also just, it was really important to us that making this project, it wasn't just how do we make more of an old thing because it worked then, and that we kept at the forefront, how can we make a new thing that is also good and stands on its own and brings value and is nostalgic, sure, but like also has its own identity moving forward. So that was sort of the puzzle that we had to slot into place. And I feel like we found a really good balance on that, where it's a reboot, there's nostalgia, it feels like the old show, but I do also think that it just is like a strong multicam comedy. It's a strong kids show. And you're right, there's not as many of these sort of like kid focused shows as there used to be. And I feel like it's important to have content that is for that demographic and that's wholesome and safe and for that market. That kids can just let their hair down and enjoy, and 26-year-olds who grew up with the original show can also let their hair down and enjoy. So yeah, not really consideration, not hesitation, I would say.
I would just echo that and say I think there was definitely a space for us, and I think that the fans definitely held space for us. And I think the past few years has been tough for a lot of people, and I think what better thing to put out for us? I mean, people love our show, and we got to do something that was sort of reminiscent of it, but new in the same way as Kira was just saying. So I feel incredibly lucky, to be honest with you. Yeah.
And I love it because you guys are sort of flipping roles. Now you two are the adults. Maya's coming in to be that teenager that you two were back when the show first started. So Maya, for you, what was it like coming in now as a teenager to take on a bigger role in this franchise that people really love?
It was really fun because I got to like develop Chloe's character more, since I didn't really get to do that when I was 3. So it's really fun to do that, and I learned a bunch of new acting skills that I can use in the future, and having Kira and Jack as like my kind of guardians in the show was fun because I have scenes with them and they can help me out with lines, and I feel like it was just more fun being able to have my own character.
What can you tease for your character coming up this season? We've obviously had a couple episodes now. It seems like there's going to be a lot of bad guys, a lot of stunts, a lot of fun things along the way. So what are you excited for fans to see?
Well, I'm excited for fans to see I get a little bit more independent, and I save a lot of days, and I have a fighting scene, so I'm excited for everyone to see that.
And for Jack and Kira, you both are now executive producers. When you signed on, was there something that you were like, okay, I'm excited to change my character in this way, or evolve the character in a certain way, or something you brought to the show as a producer?
Yeah, I think there's the ultimate trust with our showrunners. I think they really nailed it on the head with the synopsis and what we're doing. But I think just in general, it was touching and moving for me, and I know Kira too, to get that respect of no one really knows our characters like us, and so no one could really have the perspective that we have, and to feel that we were valued in that way, it was an honor. And so to get a full scope of being behind the camera, working with the EPs, working with the writers, even working with Maya and our 2 new series regulars on the show who haven't done a whole lot of work, and so being there for them and working with them closely was super fun for me. I just love acting, and I love kids, so it was a pleasure. It really was amazing, and I learned so much and really looked at it as an opportunity for growth, and it was.
And any chance any of you will be stepping behind, now that you've done executive producing, are you interested in directing or writing or doing anything else with this particular show?
Kira already did.
I did, yeah. I directed
Okay,
an episode this
awesome.
season. Yeah, which was just an amazing experience. I loved every second of it. It felt very right for the way that my brain works, and I'm very detail oriented and specific and kind of mathematical when it comes to taking on big projects like that. So as much as it's fun to make people laugh, and as much as I enjoy being an actor, going behind the scenes and getting to take on the whole project of like creating a television show from the smallest bits, both as a producer and a director, just like really, really lights me up. And I loved every moment of it. It was really, really special. So definitely looking to do a lot more of that over the next few years.
And I
Jack.
echo that. I'm super excited to have my first episode next year too. I think Kira did so good this year. It was amazing to see her in that role, but I'm excited to do it as well. Ladies first, of course.
Well, that's one thing I've loved about Disney and Nickelodeon shows. Like, as they get older, they've really given those opportunities to the people that have grown up on the show to learn things that, if you started on an ABC sitcom, you might not get that chance. And so that's something that I love to see that you two are both doing. One thing I love about these types of shows that have a lot of physical comedy and just a lot of, fun moments is blooper reels. So if we were making a blooper reel from this first season, is there something that you could tease that would be on it? Or
We do.
Okay,
We have
you do
a
have
blooper
one.
reel. We have
Okay.
a beautiful 17-minute blooper reel that they showed at the wrap party, and I have been
Oh,
begging
wow.
the network to let us put it out as a promotional piece because it's awesome. So hopefully at the end of the season we'll be able to put that piece out. Yeah, it's a lot of, I mean, we were learning like truly like 30 to 35 pages of dialogue a night. Like it was a crazy fast-paced schedule making this show, and it's a very wordy show, and there's a lot of like science and gadgets. And Jack had a paragraph in that just aired that was like the stabilizer gadget with the the radiation ball, and like there's just so much of that gack to learn. And so most of the bloopers are just sort of some variation on I have to wait one more.
These superhero shows are almost as bad as medical shows. You're like, what are these
Yes.
words? Like, are you throwing a dart at the wall and just saying, we're going to
Yeah,
put
they're
this
almost-
together?
They're almost worse because half of them are made up.
For each of you, can you tease one episode this season, either by episode number or name, that you think is going to stick out for fans, for like your character in particular?
Ooh. Jack, I know what your answer is, but you can't say it.
It's about mid-season, right, Kira? Maybe mid to end season.
No, your favorite one is in the fall.
Yeah, it's gonna be a bit. I mean, I think the season really progresses in a really awesome way. I think that most season ones of shows, casts and crews are still finding their stride, and really season 2 they hit their stride. And because we had such a history with the show and then the movie, we have all this rich history and lore with our show that I think we really hit a stride like mid-season this year. So the episodes definitely get better. We all get a little sharper. In these first few episodes, we're still kind of like settling in, but they're great. But it just continues to progress and get better and better.
I definitely remember there being a moment, like, I don't know, 3/4 of the way into filming where we all just kind of like looked around. I feel like Jack and I, we might have even had a conversation about it. I was like, oh, we're all firing on all cylinders right now.
Firing
It's
off.
just amazing. Like Billy comes back and we get the parents back in and it's the whole cast together again. And like Jack and I are just like on it and coming up with so much funny stuff and feeding on each other, and the energy is huge. And like, yeah, it really hits its stride. So yeah, there's also an interesting thing happening in the summer that I can't probably say anything else about yet. But there's people will know what I mean when that happens.
No, everything's fab.
So much power.
It's the brand new series, The Thundermans Undercover.